A lovely morning to you once again. Thank you for keeping it on UBC TV. Despite the challenging times where we know many people are now home, they cannot access their workplaces in the bid to fight COVID-19. But the good news is there is hope at the end of the tunnel. Every day we are getting messages, we are getting breakthroughs in the field of treatment, either supportive treatment or finally a treatment or a cure to COVID-19. Where we are seeing locally, Gulu University, Mbara University, and we expect more to come on board with something that can help create hope, can help treat, maybe also finally a cure to COVID-19 as we keep on waiting for vaccination. Now today we are going to be looking at the process of certifying what has been locally made to treat any kind of disease in this country, but with more specific emphasis on COVID-19 treatments that have been developed locally here at home. And we know there is a body that is responsible to regulate, that is the importation and production and sale of drugs in this country for both human and also animals. That is for veterinary part of it. And this is the National Drug Authority, NDA. But this got its powers through an act of parliament, so they did not just work from oblivion, and that was in 1993 when we had the National Drug Policy that set up this is NDA. But also later in 2000, their powers, they were given more powers through the National Drug Policy and Act, that is CAPE 206. With me in studios, I have the Public Relations Manager, that is National Drug Authority, that is ABIAZ, RWAMIRI. You're most welcome, ABIAZ, to our studios.
Thank you so much, Robert, and good morning, the viewers of UBC.
Now the public is eager, they're excited to understand that yes, as you carry out regulation of importation, production and sale of drugs that are imported but also locally produced here, we're in a time of COVID-19, and we've seen a couple of hope, maybe breakthroughs, and some still are to be developed. So they want to know, as the Drug Authority, National Drug Authority, what is your mandate at such a time in terms of these drugs that are being developed?
Thank you so much, Robert. As you rightly reported, National Drug Authority is mandated to regulate the importation, the production, the sale, and also the exportation of drugs for both human and vet. We, in carrying out our mandate, we ensure that we look out for three key components. That the drug, one, is safe, is of good quality, and efficacious as a way of protecting public health. To your question of what are we doing in this period, I think this period has, put us in a limelight as National Drug Authority, and it's not that we've just started our work. As you mentioned, the authority started doing what we are doing when in 1993, when the Act of Parliament was put in place. And we've been working, delivering our mandate to safeguard Ugandans. I shared with you that by the time a drug gets onto the market, there are so many processes or steps that take place. And me and you get to know about this particular drug when it has been prescribed to us by a health worker, or when we are sick, and one of our friends, like what is happening now, tells you, I took this drug and it helped me. But there are so many things that take place behind behind the cameras, so to say, or behind the screens that we are seeing on social media, people prescribing different medication. So as National Drug Authority, to dive in, we've been working with different stakeholders especially in the herbal medicine that is getting a lot of attention. And I want to congratulate Ugandan scientists who are working hard to make sure that they find solutions to different ailments. We've been working with different innovators, we call them innovators, to make sure that they, by the time they put their product on the market, it has covered those three components that I talked about, that the product is safe, is of good quality, and efficacious.
Let's look at these three, how you arrive at them.
Now, Robert, the first one of safety, that is achieved by the manufacturer and proven by National Drug Authority, making tests, doing tests.
So do you carry out tests on, because why we need the public to better understand this? There is a belief that what has been locally made, maybe the National Drug Authority has not been supportive in that way. So when a person comes up with a product, we are eager, we are waiting, and sometimes we hear that this product could be working, but National Drug Authority has not yet, you call it notification, has not yet notified it. That is I think that's the initial approval of a drug, but just that's the term used. So Ugandans are like, but this thing is working. So throw more light for them to appreciate that, yes, this is being done for the good of Ugandans. Something I might say has cured me, and you say, no, this is not fit to be on market.
Robert, before we go actually into that, I want you had asked me about how do we ensure the other three steps. So the first one of safety is done in the laboratory. By the innovator. By the time you bring a product onto the market, ideally, the requirement is that it has gone through laboratory development. You've brought your composition, or different plants you put together. You take them into the lab and test them. What are you looking for? To make sure that this drug is not toxic, because plants mixed together, chances of having them toxic is high. I don't want to go into the science, but yes, it goes into the laboratory. You test and make sure it is safe. And the other process is actually after that you introduce it into what we call lab animals. So for example, you get a virus, put it into a lab animal, you introduce your drug and test and see if it works. Can it actually alleviate the condition that has been introduced into this animal? The second step, which is very, very key, is as a National Drug Authority, we have a state-of-art laboratory, the best in sub-Saharan Africa, which I invite you to get time and as UBC to come and look at. We get samples of that product before it goes on to the market, and we test to confirm its safety, but also we've been using that laboratory to check products that are questionable on the market, to make sure they are not adulterated and all that. That is the component of safety. The component of quality, as National Drug Authority, we require that before you put the product onto the market, we come and visit your factory, where we do an audit of good manufacturing practices. That is where you catch the quality, because quality can't be tested in the laboratory. For example, if someone is making caro and a sweat drops in, you will never know as a consumer. But if someone is able to see how a kitchen runs, how tidy it is, then you're sure that the product that comes from there is of good quality. And that's what we do as National Drug Authority. We do an audit onto your factory to make sure that there is a conducive environment for drug production, that a product that comes out from there is of good quality. And of course, that goes into our continued monitoring. We follow it onto the market, because when a product is of good quality from the factory, how it is transported, stored, and all that can compromise its quality and safety. So we have programs that when we rate a product onto the market, we continue following it up for its efficacy, safety, and quality. Those are the processes. Now, going back to your question of what are we doing, why are people are saying NDA has not approved this particular product. As you mentioned, as you put it right, we as National Drug Authority put up call it standards or policy of promoting not only herbal but local production, local manufacturing of drugs. Over 75% of our drugs we have in the country, or the need of the drug we have, is addressed by importation. 75% of the drugs we need in the country are actually imported.
Imported, yes.
And we've been working, it concerns us as an authority, and we've been working to support local production of drugs as a way of providing drug safety. We've realized, and you've heard the president echo this, that in times like this of global pandemic, the markets that supply us will always first deal with their internal issues, and we've seen that. We've seen this with the vaccine. Yes. And where does that put us? It means that we have to widen our local production to address our internal drug need. And as a National Drug Authority, we've been doing that, encouraging local drug manufacturing, supporting, giving them, the local manufacturers, the capacity to do that. If you look at even the cost we charge for a notification of a herbal medicine, is just 10,000. 10,000 to notify. So if you bring an application to have your product assessed, vigorously assessed, one application of one product will be looked into by more than 5 of our teams for more than a week. So you just look at a cost of 10,000.
If that is ABIAZ, if that is to go by and it's true, for the last 3 years, I'm reliably informed, you've notified only 193 locally manufactured products.
Yes.
For the last 3 years.
Those are herbal.
Yes.
Those are herbal products.
Because our focus is now on what herbal is locally.
What is locally produced. So the herbal medicine.
That looks a thin number.
Because, Robert, we can't approve what has not been brought to us. But also for you to get an approval, it's not just a matter of bringing an application. Your application must be adequate, must meet the set standards, which, all these guys in a drug production know, but also that information is available on our website. If you go onto our website, you go into the section of downloads, there are documents on guidelines of herbal medicine, production, clinical trials, and all that. So that we as open as that, the information is available, but also we keep engaging all the manufacturers.
Let's take an example of the recent. Okay, you've been supportive in COVID-X. Where was the hand of National Drug Authority?
Like I mentioned, and like you put it right, over 191 products we have approved. The major that has brought us into the limelight is COVID-X. When we got to know about the product, we reached out to the innovator. We had a meeting with them, and that day we put up a statement how we not advising the public that we had not approved that product because we had not received an application from the innovator. The application contains information of how this drug was developed to its current state, and it helps our team to scientifically review, looking at the 3 issues we mentioned at the beginning of safety, quality, and efficacy.
So at what stage should the innovator, like you've called them, contact you? Is it after the final product? Is it during? So when you talk about Covidex, which we knew that was general knowledge, it was around. By the time you came out, say, well, the public, we've not yet approved this, it had been on the market. Do you sit in your offices and comfortably wait for people, or do you go out to find out, because this is health is about public interest?
In delivering our mandate, we have departments that run different activities that help us to achieve our regulatory role. And one of the key ones is the Directorate of Enforcement, which helps in surveillance. So we have market surveillance, we have teams that go on enforcement, look at the products that are in the market, look at the outlets, call them drug shops and pharmacies that sell the products we license, making sure that they are in good state, run by qualified people, but also that they are licensed, and that the products they are selling are those that are authorized by National Drug Authority. Before you knew about Covidex, we actually knew. We got to know about Covidex through our enforcement surveillance, and we got in touch with the manufacturer, or call him the innovator, and we had a back and forth. By the time we come out to the public to warn you, it means we don't work on emotions as an authority. We are not driven by emotions. We first get to the bottom of the issue. So we engaged the manufacturer, and they had given us the confidence that this product had been leaked onto the market. It was not ready, and they brought in the application. But we also take a consideration of the situation that we are into. People are desperate, people are dying. So when we come in, are looking for the best way to survive. So when we come in to advise the public, we are giving you caution that while you are desperate, consider your safety first. Because before we look into the safety of the product, we can't guarantee that it is not going to put your life at risk. So but back to what we do when we get the information that a certain product is onto the market, we get in touch with the innovator, the manufacturer, and what we expect from them is the cooperation. Okay. And of course, the law mandates us that if you don't cooperate, we can enforce the closure. But we had a good reception. We had the engagement with them. They supplied us with the information we needed. We looked at it, had a back and forth until we were convinced, and we let the product onto the market. Now, questions have been, how do you let a product that has not gone through clinical trials onto the market? Now, that's a discussion we need also to have. But as a National Drug Authority, when we look at a product that is locally produced, formulated from herbs that have traditionally been used by our forefathers to alleviate a symptom, we look at its formulation and see that it is safe. We give it a notification. Now, a notification is not a registration. It's not saying go and take this is going to cure you. If you look at the statement we released when we notified the Covidex, we advised the innovators to do clinical trials, but also the first product that was on the market, if you remember, it had claims that it was preventing and treating. And we engaged the innovator, and that was removed. And what is now on the market is that it is a supportive treatment in management of viral infection. Now, that means that product alone cannot cure any condition, but can be used alongside other products in management of a particular condition. And we ask the public and advise that don't use this product without the advice of a professional health worker.
Okay, let's look at, because Ugandans are craving for hope. right now, how many applications do we have in the line of COVID-19? We had the COVID list, we are still waiting. How many notifications, or do we have anything in the pipeline that very soon Ugandans will be getting that has been notified by the National Drug Authority?
We've had engagement with the Guru University, Dr. Aris, who is actually our focal person in northern Uganda. And at Guru University, because as National Drug Authority, we have a memorandum of understanding with different training institutions, Makerere University, Mbarara University, Guru University, the Research Institute, to give the capacity to herbalists. Because now what we have in the RWAMIRI are these professional scientists, Dr. Aris, Professor Ogwang, coming on. But we also have the local guys who are innovators, who have these products that are upcoming, that can, if given capacity, can alleviate some of different ailments. So we have these MOUs where we work with these institutions. They have the laboratories, they help these guys to do all the drug development processes. For Guru University, when this product that came into the limelight, into media, we engaged them. Our team went on the ground. We've been working with them before even this came out in May. We had the team that went for capacity building and training at the university. So we've been working with them, and we knew about this product. As far as we are concerned, it's a product that is supposed to be in the laboratory under drug development. And the engagement, the discussion, if you've had an interview with Dr. Ars, she mentioned that it was actually leaked onto the market by one of the research assistants. But yes, we have so many products that are under development, several of them.
In the line of COVID?
In the line of viral infections.
Okay, yes.
In the line of viral infections. And of course, COVID is a viral infection. We've engaged, I think there was one that leaked on, that was also making rounds on social media from Kazire. We've had several meetings with Kazire and his team. So we want, like I started, congratulate Ugandans for the innovation, for the interest, for working to sort of the issues that we have as Ugandans, but also to put a caution that there are guidelines of how a drug leaves the laboratory to start being tried on humans. That process is there. It has to be guided. As National Drug Authority, we get concerned when researchers start leaking products onto the market before they are ready, or without guidelines. Your product could be ready to go onto the market, to be tried on people, but it has to be under guidance, because what does that do? It takes away bias of the results, but also it helps to protect the participants to know how, if they react to this drug, how they can be assisted.
ABIAZ, time is not so much on our side, but as we conclude, you've talked about process, and you want to promote locally manufactured solutions to our problems, like we said initially. So this entire process you're talking about, there have been reports that it's very expensive, and it puts out many of the people who would come up with solutions maybe at such a time. Apart from the notification you talked about 10,000, how expensive could this process, and is it for ordinary Ugandans, maybe a doctor, a pharmacist that could have these brains to make a breakthrough?
Very true, Robert. Drug development is very, very expensive.
Okay.
If you look at conventional drugs, by the time a drug gets onto the market, it could take about 5 to 10 years, and it can easily cost between 1 to 3 billion US dollars. That's the conventional drug. Because of so many areas of approval, it goes through doing clinical trials, insurance, and all that. In Uganda, specifically, it's also expensive. I think you've had Professor Ogwang come out, you've had Dr. Aris come out and say we need government support. And government has been doing a fantastic job through the Ministry of Science and Technology. The president has been supportive, and they've given several support. From Dr. Nambatia's product that was launched in March that has been going under clinical trials. I think Professor Gwanga has also been promised funding and the Guru University. So this course definitely requires government support. There could be a mechanism where you bring in an investor whom you're going to partner with, or maybe government needs now to start looking at this as an investment opportunity. If your product is promising, can government buy part of the rights and help you to fully develop it? Because drugs are highly lucrative. If we are able to meet our local demand and start exporting, would one create jobs through the industrialization.
So it's something that will really earn us a lot of money.
A lot of money. So that is the path we need to look at. Of course, the innovators need to be guarded to make sure that people do not take
they
first patent their product. And there are so many, especially our local traditional herbalists who have the fear that if they come out, put their product through this regulation processes,
it will be very expensive, and they may not.
It might be expensive, but actually the greatest fear they fear that someone can steal their idea.
And actually, many of them don't want to hear anything to do with laboratory.
Exactly.
Because of the questions you ask, the content and everything. So you leave them almost when you know whatever is contained in that drug.
But that is very, very key. And that's been one of the other discussions. Why is National Drug Authority interested
in knowing,
in regulating a herbal drug that our forefathers have used for a long time to treat different ailments? Now, Robert, when you pour your mururuza, mujaja, and you treat whatever condition you are in at home, you are using such a small quantities of that herbal product. But when a product goes into mass production, it means the manufacturer is using, is picking several contents of this particular drug, and the drug extraction or the composition puts us into two questions: whether the concentration is so high, and when it becomes so high, chances it could be toxic. But also because the manufacturer is looking at mass production, the contents of the drug could be diluted and it becomes less effective. So as a National Drug Authority, that's when we get concerned that as a product goes commercial, we need to look at its composition and make sure that it is in right quantities for safety.
Well, I want to thank you so much. That is ABIAZ RWAMIRI, who is the Communications Manager, National Drug Authority. Very important is safety of these drugs. How safe are they? Yes, we need them to solve our problem, but we must also ensure that human beings do not consume what is hazardous to their lives or harmful. One thing that came to my mind, it just reminds me of people in the village. A person would know what drugs in case someone gets a snake bite, and they would run very far, pick these, come, mingle them. Very complicated to understand. At the end of that person will be cured. Now, when this person died, they all died with their knowledge. And not even their grandchildren can treat snake bites in a village. Let's ensure that what we have developed, we can ensure it goes through all categories to make it safe to the people. The biggest question now is, who meets these costs? All these innovators with these good ideas, who meets these costs to ensure they see the light of day? Have a nice day. Stay safe. COVID treatment is expensive, and our only solace is in prevention. have that mask on, please and please desist from crowded areas, regular wash of your hands as we wait for vaccination, and then there are many breakthroughs. We are hoping that the authority will approve when they have reached that level. Have a lovely day. God bless you. We'll leave you with Ruben to take you through sports updates. Good morning.